They begged for help. Humanity answered with total war. The war did not begin with humans. Far beyond the edge of human space, in a part of the galaxy few had ever seen, there was a small alliance of peaceful alien worlds. They lived quietly, trading goods and ideas among themselves. Their cities floated above oceans of strange colors, and their skies were filled with ships that glowed like stars. Life was simple, and they had no enemies, at least none they thought could reach them. But one day, that peace ended. A massive fleet appeared in their space, ships larger than their cities and blacker than the void. The fleet moved like a shadow, destroying everything in its path. Entire worlds were wiped clean in hours. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons could not match the firepower of the invaders. They fled, hiding in corners of space they thought were safe. The leaders of the Alliance sent messages to anyone who could help. They did not know if anyone would hear them. They did not know if anyone would come. The messages were filled with desperation, showing burned cities, broken ships, and frightened faces. On the edge of human space, Lieutenant Ben Carter was on duty in a small listening station. It was a quiet station, mostly monitoring old trade routes and listening for signals from deep space. He spent his days reading data streams, logging coordinates, and making sure the station did not drift off course. He liked the quiet. It gave him time to think, to remember his family on Earth, and to imagine worlds he would probably never see. Then the signal came. It was weak at first, barely noticeable among the background noise, but something about it made Ben stop. He looked closer. It was a distress call, but unlike any he had seen. The images were strange. Buildings shaped like towers of glass and metal burned, ships exploded in blue fire, and alien faces stared at the screen with fear and hope at the same time. He ran to the communication console. The message repeated itself over and over in every language the aliens used. The subtitles showed words Ben could read. "We are being destroyed. We have no allies left. Help us, please help us." He could feel his heart beat faster. He did not know these creatures. He had never met them. He had never seen their worlds except in images. Yet the desperation in their voices was clear. It was the same fear humans would feel if their homes were burned. It was the same hope humans would feel if someone came to save them. Ben sent the message to command. He did not try to translate or explain. He only forwarded it. Hours passed. The station was quiet again except for the hum of machines. Then a reply came from Earth. The leaders were shocked, some confused, some afraid. The humans had no treaty with these aliens. They had no reason to risk anything. The empire that attacked them had not yet threatened human space. "We should not respond," said one official in the meeting room. "This is not our war. We stay safe. We do not get involved." But others disagreed. Captain Luke Mason, a man with decades of experience in the fleet, spoke with sharp calm. "If we ignore them, we may survive today, but the invaders will come for us eventually. They destroy everything. Do we wait for that moment? Or do we act now while we can?" Dr. Emma Lewis, a civilian analyst, leaned forward. She had spent years studying alien civilizations. She had seen patterns before. "We are not just being asked for help," she said. "We are being warned. Their enemy is bigger than anything we have faced. If we do not respond, our colonies will be next. We can delay the fight, but we cannot stop it forever. They will come." The room was quiet. No one spoke for a long time. The images of the alien cities burned in their minds. The faces of those who had begged for help stayed in their thoughts. Fear and responsibility mixed in ways that made every choice heavy. Finally, a decision was made. Humanity would answer the call, not slowly, not cautiously. They would act. The leaders did not announce it to the public yet. They needed plans, ships, soldiers, and strategies. Every branch of the military began moving in secret. Research labs worked on new weapons. Fleets were mobilized in hidden locations. The humans were preparing to enter a war they had never wanted but could no longer avoid. Ben Carter watched the preparation unfold from his station. He felt small compared to the decisions being made, but he felt proud. He had forwarded the signal. He had listened. And now humans were listening too. He thought about the alien faces. They had asked for help. Humanity would answer. The first ships left Earth quietly. The jump drives lit up the void, and in moments humans were across the stars. Fleets moved faster than anyone expected. They did not stop at one planet or two. They moved toward every world they could find that was under attack. On one burning world, Major Alex King led the first human landing team. The city they approached was half destroyed. Smoke rose from broken buildings, and screams echoed across streets that were empty but for the injured and dying. King's team moved quickly, helping survivors, repairing defenses, and pushing back the enemy. Their weapons were strange to the aliens, and their tactics were stranger. The humans did not fear death in the same way. They fought for survival, for justice, and for something deeper. The aliens could hardly believe what they saw. Their entire lives had prepared them to run, to hide, to pray for help. Humans came. Humans did not negotiate. Humans did not fear. Humans acted. Back at the listening station, Ben Carter watched the reports. He saw alien fleets joining human fleets, fighting alongside them. He saw worlds being retaken. He saw hope return to faces that had known only fear. But he also saw destruction. Human weapons were powerful. They could break entire cities. The Empire had fought long and hard, but it was not prepared for humans. Every battle ended with more ships lost by the enemy than humans, and yet Ben felt a chill. This war would not end quickly. It would leave scars. The humans were strong, but even the strongest can be broken if the enemy is patient. As night fell on the station, Ben leaned back in his chair. He thought about his family on a world that was still safe for now. He thought about the aliens fleeing across space, begging for help, and finally finding it. He realized something that made him both proud and afraid. Humanity had answered the call, but answering meant entering a war unlike any other. And in the cold, dark space, the first human fleet jumped into the unknown, toward worlds on fire, toward an enemy that had never faced humans before, and toward a future that was uncertain but filled with determination. Ben closed his eyes and whispered to himself, "We will not fail. We cannot fail. They asked for help and we will answer." And somewhere across the stars, the aliens saw their first human ships appear, gleaming against the darkness. For the first time in weeks, they felt hope. They did not know the humans. They did not know their strength. But they knew one thing: humanity had come. And when humanity came, everything could change. The humans moved quickly, faster than anyone expected. Ships jumped from one system to another, appearing suddenly above burning planets. The alien survivors could hardly believe what they saw. Ships unlike any they had imagined moved through the skies, firing weapons that cut through the enemy's fleets like knives through cloth. Captain Luke Mason stood on the bridge of the flagship, watching the battle unfold below. The humans did not hesitate. They did not slow down to negotiate. They acted with purpose, every order precise, every maneuver calculated. The aliens began to realize that these humans were unlike anyone they had met before. They did not fear death the same way. They did not falter under pressure. They fought not for glory, not for conquest, but for justice. On the planet of Tharian, which had been half destroyed by the Empire, Major Alex King led a human landing team into the city. The streets were quiet except for the occasional groan of the wounded. Buildings that once held families now lay in ruins. King's soldiers moved carefully, helping the injured and clearing enemy patrols. They treated the aliens with respect, offering water, medical aid, and hope. "Keep moving," King said quietly to his team. "They are scared, but we will not let them down." The aliens who had hidden in cellars and tunnels peeked out, watching the humans. They whispered to each other. They had never seen warriors like this. The humans did not shout or demand. They did not destroy without purpose. They fought with strength, but also with mercy. Far above the planet, Lieutenant Ben Carter monitored the battle from the listening station. The reports came in fast. Fleets of human ships were breaking the enemy's formations. The Empire's commanders could not understand how humans moved so quickly, attacked so decisively, and yet took care of those they came to save. The aliens who had begged for help could not stop staring at the screens. Dr. Emma Lewis worked in the analysis center, coordinating information from every human fleet. She watched maps of star systems, tracking enemy movements and human responses. She realized that humanity had not come simply to protect. Humans were teaching the aliens something new: strength, strategy, and courage. She could see hope returning in the eyes of those who had believed all was lost. The Empire tried to fight back. Their warships were huge, armed with weapons designed to obliterate cities. They sent their best pilots, their fastest ships, their deadliest weapons. But humans adapted quickly. They learned the enemy's tactics, predicted their movements, and struck where the enemy was weakest. Every engagement ended with the Empire losing more than the humans. Major Alex King noticed the alien civilians in the streets, staring in awe at the humans. "We are here to protect you," he said. "We will not let them take your homes again." The aliens nodded, tears in their eyes. They had never been spoken to this way in a war. They had never been treated as equals, only as property or pawns. Humans were different. On another planet, Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks oversaw a larger engagement. Thousands of human ships fought the Empire's fleets. Explosions lit the sky like artificial stars. Ships collided, weapons fired, and the void itself seemed to tremble with the force of the battle. Brooks watched as human tactics broke enemy formations. They did not fight like anyone else the Empire had faced. They were unpredictable, relentless, and fearless. The Empire sent a message demanding the humans leave their space. They threatened destruction, punishment, and annihilation. Brooks read the message aloud to his officers. "They do not understand us," he said. "They think threats will work. They are about to learn something they have never seen before." The humans continued. They did not negotiate. They did not retreat. Every human soldier, pilot, and officer knew what was at stake. They were fighting not only for the aliens, but for every human world that might be threatened in the future. Humanity was no longer a bystander in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with. Lieutenant Ben Carter watched as the alien leaders began to communicate with human commanders. They asked questions, begged for advice, and followed orders. They had learned something the Empire had tried to erase, that humans did not give up, that humans answered calls for help, that humans could turn the tide of war, even when all seemed lost. Captain Luke Mason and Dr. Emma Lewis coordinated the defense of several planets simultaneously. They worked with alien leaders to rebuild defenses, train local militias, and protect civilians. The humans showed them how to fight back, how to organize, and how to survive. The aliens began to hope again. On the front lines, Major Alex King and his soldiers cleared enemy forces from key positions. They rescued thousands of aliens trapped in destroyed buildings. They used their weapons with precision, targeting enemy ships and soldiers without harming those they were protecting. The aliens watched in amazement. They had never seen a race fight with such skill and care at the same time. The Empire realized too late that humans were different. Their attacks were not random. Their strategy was precise. Their will was unbreakable. Every time the Empire destroyed a city, humans rebuilt it. Every time the Empire attacked a fleet, humans counterattacked with greater force. The Empire had faced many enemies, but never one like this. In the listening station, Ben Carter felt a mix of pride and fear. The humans were winning, but the cost was high. Ships were lost, soldiers were injured, and the fighting was only beginning. He thought about his family on Earth, safe for now. He thought about the aliens, terrified and grateful. Humanity had come to help, and now they were in the middle of a war that could last years. Dr. Emma Lewis studied the patterns of the Empire's attacks. She realized that the enemy was desperate. They had never faced a race willing to fight for others, willing to risk everything to save strangers. The humans were showing them a new kind of strength. It was terrifying to the Empire and inspiring to the aliens. On one liberated planet, the alien civilians cheered as human soldiers walked through their streets. They had lived in fear for months, some for years. Now humans were standing beside them, protecting them, fighting for them. The aliens whispered to each other, "These humans are not like anyone we have known. They are different. They do not fight for power, they fight for life." Major Alex King gathered the rescued aliens and spoke to them. "Your home is safe for now," he said. "We will fight to keep it that way. You are not alone." The aliens listened, their eyes wide with disbelief. No one had ever said these words before in a war. No one had ever shown such commitment. Humans had changed the meaning of help. Far above, Captain Luke Mason prepared the next wave of attacks. Human ships jumped from system to system, following the signals of those still in danger. The Empire tried to regroup, but humans were always ahead. Every plan the enemy made was countered. Every attack was anticipated. The humans were relentless, unstoppable, and full of purpose. Lieutenant Ben Carter watched the feeds and realized something profound. Humans did not just respond to calls for help. They answered with total commitment. They did not stop until the threat was gone. They were not heroes seeking glory. They were humans, acting because they had to, acting because they could not ignore the cries of those in danger. As the day ended, the aliens began to believe in survival again. They saw hope in the streets, in the skies, and in the human soldiers who walked among them. The humans were not perfect. They had losses, they had failures, but they never gave up. They had come when no one else would. They had answered the call. Major Alex King looked at the horizon of the liberated city and thought about what was coming next. The Empire was still out there, vast and dangerous. Humans had won battles, but the war was not over. He knew they would have to fight harder, plan smarter, and risk more than ever before. But he also knew one thing: humanity would not fail. Dr. Emma Lewis sent reports to Fleet Command detailing the success and the challenges. She noted how humans and aliens were learning from each other. She noted how hope had returned to worlds that had known only fear. And she wrote a simple conclusion: when humans answer a call for help, they do not do it halfway. They do it with everything they have. Lieutenant Ben Carter finally turned off the monitors for the night. He leaned back, exhausted but proud. Humanity had taken the first step. They had crossed into a war not their own, and they had already changed the course of events. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Empire realized that the humans were coming for them. Not slowly, not quietly, not with words. They were coming with total war. And for the first time, the Empire felt fear. The humans did not wait. They moved deeper into enemy territory, faster than anyone had thought possible. Their fleets jumped from one system to another, appearing suddenly above worlds that had known only fear. The Empire's commanders were shocked. They had never faced an enemy who moved with such speed and precision. Every attack humans made seemed calculated, every maneuver deadly. Captain Luke Mason stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as human ships destroyed enemy fleets with careful precision. The weapons fired in patterns the Empire could not predict. They cut through enemy ships, disabling them before they could fight back. The humans did not celebrate victories. They only moved on toward the next target, toward the next world in danger. On the planet Zurin, Major Alex King led his landing team through a city still half destroyed by the Empire. Buildings were crumbling, streets filled with rubble and smoke, but the humans moved with purpose. They rescued trapped aliens, repaired defenses, and pushed the enemy back. Every soldier knew that hesitation could cost lives, so they acted quickly, carefully, and without fear. "Keep your eyes open," King said quietly. "They will try to ambush us, but we are not alone. We fight together." The aliens watched in amazement. They had never seen warriors who moved like this. Humans did not fight for glory or power. They fought to protect, to save lives, and to make sure no one suffered alone. Every human action gave hope, even in places that had known only despair. Far above the planet, Lieutenant Ben Carter monitored the battle from the listening station. Reports came in fast. Human fleets were breaking through enemy lines, liberating worlds one by one. The Empire tried to regroup, but humans were always one step ahead. They anticipated attacks, planned counterattacks, and struck at the heart of enemy operations. Dr. Emma Lewis worked tirelessly in the command center, analyzing enemy movements and guiding human fleets. She realized that the Empire had never faced a race like humans before. Humans did not rely on fear or threats. They relied on action, on courage, and on persistence. Every battle the Empire thought they had won ended with human victory. Major Alex King moved through the city of Zurin, helping aliens find shelter and safety. He spoke to them in quiet, firm tones. "Your home is not lost. We will make sure you are safe. You are not alone." The aliens listened, wide-eyed, some with tears in their eyes. No one had ever said these words during a war. No one had ever acted with such care. Humans were teaching them that help could be real, that courage could be shared. On another front, Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks coordinated multiple fleets. Explosions lit the void as enemy ships were destroyed. Debris floated like stars in the dark, a testament to human power and strategy. Brooks watched as human ships moved in perfect formation, protecting each other, covering allies, and striking where the enemy was weakest. The Empire had never fought an enemy who could do this. The Empire sent another message, threatening the humans with destruction and punishment. Brooks read the message aloud. "They think threats will stop us," he said. "They are about to learn that humans do not retreat. Humans do not negotiate with monsters who kill without reason. We answer calls for help with everything we have." On the front lines, Major Alex King and his soldiers cleared enemy forces from critical positions. They rescued thousands of aliens trapped in ruined buildings. The humans used their weapons carefully, targeting only enemies while protecting civilians. The aliens were amazed. They had never seen such skill combined with compassion. Humans fought to win, but they also fought to save lives. Lieutenant Ben Carter watched reports from multiple planets. Humans were winning, but the cost was high. Ships were lost, soldiers were injured, and the Empire was still vast and dangerous. He thought about his family on Earth, safe for now, and about the aliens who had begged for help and finally received it. Humanity had entered a war not its own, and already it was changing the galaxy. Dr. Emma Lewis studied enemy patterns. She realized the Empire was desperate, confused, and terrified. Humans were relentless, adaptive, and fearless. The Empire had never seen anything like it. Every plan they made was anticipated, every attack countered. Humans did not just fight to win battles, they fought to end the threat completely. On one newly liberated world, aliens cheered as human soldiers moved through the streets. For months they had hidden in fear, watching their homes burn. Now humans were there, protecting them, fighting alongside them, showing them that survival was possible. The aliens whispered among themselves. These humans were different. They did not fight for power or conquest. They fought to protect life. They fought to save others. Major Alex King addressed the rescued aliens. "Your home is safe for now," he said. "We will fight to keep it that way. You are not alone." The aliens listened, disbelief and hope in their eyes. Humans had shown them a new way to survive, a new meaning of courage and help. Far above, Captain Luke Mason prepared the next wave of attacks. Human fleets jumped from system to system, always moving, always striking. The Empire tried to regroup, but humans were faster, smarter, and stronger than they had expected. Every engagement ended with more enemy losses than human losses. The humans were relentless. They would not stop until the threat was eliminated. Lieutenant Ben Carter realized something important. Humans did not just respond to calls for help. They answered fully, completely, and without hesitation. They did not stop until the danger was gone. They were not heroes seeking glory. They were humans, acting because it was right, acting because they could not ignore cries for help. As the day ended, the aliens began to hope again. They saw life returning to streets and skies. They saw human soldiers walking among them, protecting them, teaching them how to defend themselves, how to survive. The humans had changed the meaning of help. They had shown that courage could inspire, that action could save, and that no one had to face death alone. Major Alex King looked at the horizon of a liberated city. The Empire was still out there, vast and dangerous. Humans had won battles, but the war was far from over. He knew they would have to fight harder, plan smarter, and risk more than ever before. But he also knew one thing: humanity would not fail. Dr. Emma Lewis sent detailed reports to Fleet Command. She described how humans and aliens were learning from each other. She noted how hope had returned to worlds that had known only fear. She concluded, when humans answer a call for help, they do not do it halfway. They do it fully with everything they have. Lieutenant Ben Carter finally turned off the monitors for the night. He leaned back, exhausted but proud. Humanity had crossed into enemy space. They had saved lives, inspired hope, and shown a power the Empire had never faced. And somewhere in the darkness of the galaxy, the Empire began to understand that humans were not just warriors. They were a force that would not stop. The Empire had expected threats, battles, and resistance. It had not expected humans. It had not expected courage, speed, intelligence, and determination combined. And it had not expected humans to answer the call for help with total commitment, without fear, without pause, without mercy for the guilty. Humanity's war had begun, and it would not end until the Empire was broken. The galaxy had seen humans fight, and it had seen hope return where despair had ruled for months. The Empire realized the humans were coming for them, not slowly, not quietly, not with words, but with total war. For the first time in their history, the Empire felt fear the humans did not stop. After liberating several worlds, they pushed deeper into the heart of the Empire. Fleets jumped from one system to another, appearing suddenly above heavily defended planets. The Empire's commanders were panicked. Their fleets had been strong, their strategies precise, and yet every attack humans made destroyed their plans. Every planet humans touched was saved, every civilian rescued. Captain Luke Mason watched the reports on his bridge. Enemy fleets were scattered, their commanders confused. Humans had changed the rules of war. They did not simply attack. They organized, adapted, and protected those they were sent to save. Every move was precise, every action calculated, and every victory built confidence in the alien populations who had begged for help. Major Alex King led his landing team through the city of Valor, a planet that had been under Empire control for decades. The streets were empty, smoke rising from ruined buildings, but human soldiers moved quickly. They helped the wounded, cleared enemy patrols, and restored basic security. The aliens watched in amazement. No army they had known had ever acted like this. Humans fought to protect life, not to destroy for power. "We are here to keep you safe," King said quietly. "We will not leave until this threat is gone." The aliens listened, eyes wide with hope. They had not known courage like this before. They had not known soldiers who cared as much about saving them as defeating the enemy. Humans were teaching them what true help meant. Far above, Lieutenant Ben Carter monitored dozens of simultaneous battles. Explosions lit the void as human ships destroyed enemy fleets, but always with precision. Civilian transports were protected, escape routes secured, and the aliens who had survived years of terror were now guided to safety. The humans had not come to conquer. They had come to save. Dr. Emma Lewis coordinated information from multiple systems. She tracked enemy movements and human responses. She saw patterns that the Empire could not understand. Humans were relentless, but they were also careful. They did not waste lives. Every ship, every soldier, every plan was used efficiently. The Empire was collapsing under pressure it had never imagined. On a liberated planet, Major Alex King helped rebuild defenses and trained local forces. Aliens watched as humans taught them strategies, shared tactics, and inspired confidence. These were not warriors seeking fame. These were humans fighting for justice, showing that even in the darkest hours, courage could return. The Empire sent desperate messages. They demanded that humans leave, threatened annihilation, and tried to bribe or intimidate. The humans ignored them. They were not there to negotiate. They were there to protect, to save, and to destroy the threat completely. Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks read one message aloud to his officers. "They think words can stop us," he said. "We will show them action." Human fleets continued their relentless advance. They liberated world after world. Every system they saved became a base for the next attack. Human ships repaired damaged defenses, helped civilians escape, and prepared to fight again. The aliens who had begged for help were learning to fight alongside them. Hope was returning to worlds that had known only despair. Major Alex King led a raid on an Empire supply station. The humans moved silently, disabling weapons, rescuing prisoners, and capturing intelligence. The aliens watched, amazed at how humans planned, executed, and cared at the same time. Humans fought with skill, courage, and respect. The Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Lieutenant Ben Carter watched as alien leaders began to follow human strategies. They trained, they learned, and they fought alongside humans. The humans were teaching them to survive, to resist, and to reclaim their worlds. Hope spread across systems that had been silenced by fear. The Empire was losing control faster than it could react. Captain Luke Mason prepared the next wave of attacks. Human fleets jumped across space, appearing above enemy strongholds, striking decisively, and then moving on. The Empire tried to regroup, but humans were always one step ahead. Every defense the Empire built fell to human tactics. Every counterattack failed. Humans adapted, learned, and struck back stronger than before. On the planet Zoran, Major Alex King and his team cleared the last pockets of enemy resistance. Aliens who had hidden for months came out to see their homes safe. They cried, laughed, and thanked the humans. King looked at the horizon, seeing the ruined city slowly coming back to life. He knew the Empire was still vast, but he also knew humans would not stop until it was finished. Dr. Emma Lewis sent updates to Fleet Command. She detailed how humans had liberated dozens of worlds, rescued thousands of civilians, and broken the Empire's supply lines. She noted how hope had returned, how aliens were learning to fight, and how humans were unstoppable when they answered a call for help. Lieutenant Ben Carter turned off the monitors for a moment. He leaned back, exhausted but proud. Humanity had entered the heart of the Empire. They had saved lives, inspired courage, and shown power that the enemy had never imagined. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the Empire was beginning to crumble. Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks coordinated the final wave of attacks on the Empire's central systems. Humans moved with precision, destroying fleets, capturing command centers, and cutting off escape routes. The Empire tried one last desperate counterattack, sending its strongest ships to destroy human fleets. But humans anticipated their moves. They fought with skill, courage, and careful planning. The enemy could not win. On the front lines, Major Alex King rescued prisoners and freed entire cities from Empire control. The aliens watched in awe. Humans fought to save lives while destroying the enemy. They moved through streets, guiding civilians and securing areas. No army the aliens had known had ever done this. Humans did not fight for power or revenge. They fought for survival and justice. Far above, Captain Luke Mason oversaw the destruction of the Empire's remaining fleets. Explosions lit the void. Ships collided and burned. Humans were everywhere, striking with speed, precision, and purpose. The Empire had never faced an enemy like this. Humans were not just warriors. They were unstoppable forces of protection and courage. Lieutenant Ben Carter realized something profound. Humans did not just respond to calls for help. They answered completely with all their strength, intelligence, and courage. They fought to save lives, to inspire hope, and to destroy the enemy. They were not heroes seeking glory. They were humans acting because it was right. As the day ended, aliens cheered in liberated cities. They had lived in fear for years, and now hope had returned. They watched humans move from one system to another, always fighting, always protecting, always inspiring. The humans had changed the meaning of help, courage, and strength. Major Alex King looked at the horizon of a liberated city. The Empire still existed, but its power was broken. Humans had won battles, but the war was not over. He knew they would have to fight harder, risk more, and plan carefully. But he also knew one thing: humanity would not fail. Dr. Emma Lewis sent her final report for the day. She described how humans and aliens had learned to fight together, how hope had returned, and how humans were unstoppable when they answered a call for help. She wrote simply, "When humans answer a call, they do it fully with all their strength, courage, and determination." Lieutenant Ben Carter finally turned off his monitors. He leaned back, exhausted but proud. Humanity had entered the Empire's heart. They had saved lives, inspired courage, and destroyed fear. The Empire had faced humans, and it had felt something it had never felt before: fear. The humans would not stop until the Empire was defeated. The galaxy had seen their strength, their courage, and their determination. The Empire knew now that humans did not negotiate with monsters. They destroyed threats completely while protecting the innocent. The war was not yet over, but the Empire was broken. Humanity had answered the call for help, and it had done so with total war. The galaxy would never forget what humans had done. The humans did not wait for the Empire to recover. They moved into the central systems where the enemy's command centers were located. Fleets jumped from one system to another, appearing suddenly above heavily defended planets. The Empire's commanders were panicked. They had lost fleets, planets, and entire divisions of soldiers. Nothing they did could stop the humans. Captain Luke Mason watched from the bridge of his flagship. Explosions lit the void as enemy fleets were destroyed or captured. Human ships moved with speed and precision. Every attack was calculated, every maneuver deadly. The humans were not there to negotiate. They were there to end the threat permanently. Major Alex King led a landing team on the capital planet of the Empire. The city below was massive, with towers that scraped the clouds and streets filled with guards. Yet humans moved without fear. They had trained, planned, and coordinated every action. They did not hesitate. Every step was taken to protect civilians and neutralize enemies. "Stay close," King told his team. "We move fast, we strike hard, and we protect anyone who is not part of this army. Understand?" The soldiers nodded. Humans had a way of making even impossible tasks seem manageable. The aliens who watched from hidden places whispered to each other in disbelief. Humans fought not for power, not for fame, but to save lives. Far above, Lieutenant Ben Carter monitored the central systems. Reports came in from dozens of battles at the same time. Human fleets destroyed enemy supply lines, captured command centers, and protected civilians. The Empire had never faced an enemy who moved so fast, so precisely, and with so much purpose. Every system humans touched became safer, stronger, and more hopeful. Dr. Emma Lewis coordinated intelligence from multiple fronts. She tracked enemy movements, human advances, and civilian evacuations. She realized that the Empire had never faced a race like humans before. Humans were relentless, careful, and brave. They did not waste lives. Every ship, soldier, and plan was used efficiently. The Empire was collapsing. On the capital planet, Major Alex King moved through the streets. The city had been under Empire control for decades, but now humans were liberating it. They rescued civilians, disarmed enemy soldiers, and secured key positions. Aliens watched as humans worked with precision and care. No army they had known had ever done this. Humans fought to win, but they also fought to save lives. The Empire sent desperate messages, begging humans to stop. They promised surrender, peace, and tribute. The humans read the messages but did not stop. They had come to finish the threat completely, not negotiate. Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks looked at his officers and said, "They begged for help once. Now they beg for mercy. Humanity answers calls, and we answer completely." Human fleets continued their advance. They destroyed enemy fleets, liberated occupied planets, and rescued thousands of civilians. Every battle showed human strength, strategy, and determination. Aliens who had once hidden in fear began to fight alongside humans. They learned tactics, built defenses, and regained courage. Hope spread across the galaxy. Major Alex King led a team to the Empire's central command building. Guards tried to resist, but humans were faster, stronger, and smarter than the Empire expected. The humans moved carefully, neutralizing threats and protecting anyone who was not part of the army. Aliens watched, amazed. Humans fought not to conquer, but to save, to protect, and to end the threat permanently. Lieutenant Ben Carter watched as alien leaders began to follow human strategies. They trained, learned, and fought alongside humans. The Empire's soldiers saw that resistance was useless. Humans had already broken their fleets, destroyed supply lines, and liberated planets. Their power was gone. Captain Luke Mason prepared the final strike on the Empire's remaining forces. Human fleets jumped into the central system. Explosions lit the void. Enemy ships were destroyed, captured, or forced to surrender. The Empire had no way to stop them. Humans were everywhere, precise, fast, and unstoppable. On the planet, Major Alex King moved through the streets with his team. Civilians came out from hiding, cheering the humans. They had lived in fear for decades, but now hope returned. Humans had shown them that help could be real, that courage could return, and that survival was possible. Dr. Emma Lewis sent her final intelligence report. She described how humans had liberated dozens of systems, saved thousands of civilians, and destroyed the Empire's remaining power. She noted how hope had returned, how aliens were learning to defend themselves, and how humans were unstoppable when they answered a call for help. She wrote simply, "When humans respond, they do it fully with all their strength, courage, and determination." Lieutenant Ben Carter finally turned off his monitors. He leaned back, exhausted but proud. Humanity had entered the Empire's heart, destroyed their fleets, rescued civilians, and inspired courage across the galaxy. The Empire had faced humans, and it had felt something it had never felt before: fear. Fleet Commander Nathan Brooks gave the final order. All remaining enemy forces must surrender immediately. Human ships moved into position, surrounding enemy fleets and disabling their weapons without unnecessary loss of life. The Empire had no choice. Their soldiers dropped their weapons, and command centers transmitted surrender messages. The war was over. Major Alex King and his team secured the last positions on the Empire's capital planet. Civilians cheered. Aliens who had lived in fear now walked freely. They thanked the humans, some crying, some laughing, some simply staring in disbelief. Humans had changed everything. They had answered a call for help, and they had done so completely. Captain Luke Mason addressed his crew. "We came to help," he said. "We protected those who could not protect themselves. We destroyed the threat completely. Now we leave and we let these worlds rebuild. Our job is done." The aliens asked why humans had come, why they had risked so much for strangers. Dr. Emma Lewis spoke simply. "Humans know what it means to stand alone. We know what it feels like when no one comes to help. We came because we could and because it was right. We fight for life, for hope, and for those who cannot fight for themselves." Lieutenant Ben Carter watched as human fleets prepared to leave the Empire's space. No celebrations were made. No songs were written. Humans did not seek fame or glory. They left quietly, having done what needed to be done, yet the message of their actions was clear. If anyone threatened the helpless, humanity would come, and they would answer fully, completely, and without hesitation. On liberated planets, aliens rebuilt their cities. Children played in streets that had been silent for years. Adults repaired homes and schools. Fleets of ships flew across skies that had once been darkened by war. Humanity had left a mark, not just in destruction of the enemy, but in hope, courage, and strength. Major Alex King stood on a hill overlooking a rebuilt city. He thought about the battles, the lives saved, and the enemies defeated. Humanity had answered a call that was not their own, and in doing so, they had shown the galaxy what it meant to be human. Courage, determination, and a willingness to act when needed were more powerful than any weapon. Dr. Emma Lewis sent a final report to Earth. She described how humans had saved countless lives, destroyed the Empire's power, and restored hope to worlds that had been silenced for decades. She concluded simply, humans answer calls for help. They answer fully. They answer with courage, strength, and heart. Lieutenant Ben Carter turned off the monitors for the last time. The galaxy was quiet for the first time in years. Humans had won. The Empire was defeated. Aliens who had begged for help now had hope for the future. Humanity had done what no one else could, and they had done it without pause, hesitation, or fear. As the human fleets jumped back to known space, aliens whispered to each other. They had seen strength, courage, and hope unlike anything they had ever known. Humans were different. Humans fought not for power, not for revenge, not for glory. They fought because it was right. They fought because they could, and they had answered when others would not. Major Alex King looked at the stars, thinking about the battles, the lives saved, and the victories. Humanity had risked everything for others, and in doing so, they had proven something simple and powerful. When humans answer a call for help, nothing can stop them. Captain Luke Mason gave the final orders to return home. Humans had fought, they had saved, they had destroyed the enemy's power, and now it was time to go. They left the galaxy knowing they had done everything they could. The Empire would not rise again, and the aliens they saved would rebuild stronger than before. And somewhere in the galaxy, those who had once begged for help looked up at the stars. They remembered the humans who had come when no one else would, who had answered completely, and who had fought not for themselves but for everyone else. The galaxy would never forget what humanity had done.